Superchargers. They're good at two things. That's making power and sounding like this. Today I'm at a supercharger manufacturer to find out what goes into making these harbingers of horsepower, and it all starts right here. Ooh, superchargers. This is the first step in building Vortech's centrifugal supercharger, and it doesn't even happen at Vortech. Here at Buddy Bar Casting is where the raw materials that make up some of the supercharger's major components are made completely by hand. Today they're working on gear cases.
Our guy Hector here is going to show you guys how to make a mold.
First up, making the molds. Buddy Bar uses a not too wet, not too dry material called green sand to make their molds. The green sand is shaped by being machine pressed around an existing pattern, then it's sent down the line.
We call this our green sand, right? So we have a machine that checks the moisture in our sand. Okay. Our sand has to be, it can't be too wet and it can't be too dry. Of course, if it's too wet or too dry, our molds are going to fall apart once we pour the hot metal through. So it has to be a good consistency where it shapes.
Here's the fun part. The press cast reaches its turn in the queue where molten aluminum is poured by hand at an insane temperature of 1300 degrees. This creates the initial casting. What are the different types of aluminum? Why are there different types?
So some aluminums require a heat treat process and some don't. So it depends on the hardness of the aluminum. There's a lot of factors that go into it.
What creates that hardness?
The types of metal inside of the aluminum.
All metals have different mixtures that make them harder or softer. Just like with the bulletproofing steel, not all steel is bulletproof. You have to have the right steel to be bulletproof. This aluminum is specific to the needs that the supercharger has. Once the casting is cooled to a point, the mold moves further down the line and is broken open. The raw castings are then sent to the machine shop where each piece is separated and then ground down into its proper shape. From here, each piece is sent off-site to be heat treated, then finished by getting shot blasted and put through a ceramic tumble. The shot blasting process is basically where grains of sand are shot at the final materials to give it a more professional finished look.
All right, so once it goes through our Wheelabrator, it comes here to our shipping department. So you can see that the finish is a little rougher.
Yeah.
After this step, we get sent out to ceramic tumble, which comes back with this finish here. So it's a lot smoother.
Way smooth. This actually looks like a really bad coat of paint, but then you touch it, you're like, oh, that's just all metal. And then this is just the same metal, but smoother.
Yep. And then once we get this, pretty much comes back to our shipping department again. We re-inspect it and then sends out to the customer.
All right, well, let's go to Vortech.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check for rust first before buying a used car.
Ooh, that's clean, dude.
Yeah, she's pretty good. Yeah, clean title, 35,000 miles, and street legal.
Yes. When it's a yes, it is a yes, dude. Take my money, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Checking first is smart, so check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Bro, it's all rust.
No takesy backsies, okay? I already spent the money.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
If you didn't know already, a supercharger is a belt-driven power adder that connects to your engine's crankshaft. The difference between a centrifugal supercharger and other superchargers is it uses an impeller, which is more like a turbocharging system. But unlike a turbo, it uses an attached gear case to spin its impeller, which avoids the need for a complicated and hot exhaust system. Once the raw parts arrive at Vortech, they get stored in a parts cage where they wait to be queued for machining and start their journey to become a supercharger.
All right, so we're now in our parts cage. This is where the parts come after they are cast. Basically, like the raw materials sit here to make the superchargers in like batches.
So how long before, is this like a vending machine where once that one is off the shelf, this one comes in?
or does this sit on this shelf a little longer before they start going back to the process?
It's gonna wait until the machined parts hits like a low stock threshold.
So like
if we
2 or
started
3.
with like 50, it'll let us know when there's only 10 left, because it might be a couple weeks or a couple months before we're able to fit this job into the machine shop.
Well, that's a really interesting process. Normally you just make them and they sit on the shelf until they're sold, right? But you guys are making every piece of it, and it sits in pieces until those pieces are ready to be put together and sold to a specific person, because not every application is exactly the same. Raw parts are called into the machine shop in batches based off the projected demand of the specific model of supercharger they are related to. On any given day, that could mean the machine shop is only working on 1 or 2 of the 3 main components that make up the centrifugal supercharger. Those 3 parts are the volute, the gear case, and the impeller. Today, the shop is working on gear cases and impellers.
Yeah, let's take a look at this machine over here. This is a V7 YSI impeller in its final stages of the machining process.
Holy cow.
This is a 5-axis CNC here, and this can turn out about 1 impeller every 3 hours.
This is really cool and all, but what the hell is this 5-axis CNC machine he's talking about? Well, to put it simply, a CNC machine is like a highly precise robotic sculptor. It uses math to precisely cut something according to a 3D design. The design is turned into a list of coordinates and instructions called G-code, which dictates the precision of the machine's cuts. So what makes the CNC machines cutting these billet impellers special is that they operate on 5 axes as opposed to the typical 3. This means the tool and the table can tilt at any angle and carve incredibly complex, smooth, and curved shapes, like what you're about to see.
Yeah, so it starts here with this billet chunk. The first machine op is going to turn the back side of the impeller, so this is what faces the gear case. The second is going to give it its overall shape.
Whoa.
And then this final machining process is, yep, sharp, careful. Going to cut the actual blades.
That's a very complex shape. Like, how does the machine get in and behind that fin to cut that fin? It's just wonders to me. Oh, that's really cool. It's really incredible how precise these machines are, and the techs who operate them are just as dialed in. But everything has room for error, and that's where a manufacturer like this implements some truly molecular quality control.
So this machine right here is tooled up. This is running gear cases and covers. It has 8 in here right now. It looks like this just finished its machine op. So the first article is actually going to be in quality control right now.
What exactly is the process of quality control? How do you check that? Quality control is maybe the most important part of the Supercharger's journey. Way quieter in here. It's like a library. In this clean room is where Vortech employs a Zeiss Contour machine. This machine measures tolerance, which in engineering language just means room for error.
So these machines right now are ensuring that the gear cases that we saw being machined out there earlier are all within tolerance.
So if I stuck my hand in there, it'd mess the whole thing up.
Yeah, don't do that, please.
You see, no machine, no matter how complex, can make the exact same cut or drill the exact same hole every time. To ensure that each cut the CNC machine is making is as accurate as possible, Vortech will measure the tolerance of the first batch of machined parts. This all but guarantees that as close to identical machining is being accomplished. But on a day like today, when the machine shop is running gear cases, the process of QC is even more involved. So you check all of them?
All of them. And then when they're done being machined, they go through a tumbling process for deburring, which can skew things slightly. So once they're all completely finished, we inspect 100% of them.
Again?
100% of them at the final step in QC. Get the Siemens reports, and all gear cases are matched to the covers to ensure perfect fit.
When you're running that much horsepower, that much speed in these superchargers, you have to be accurate. As you can see, the QC process is all about obscene accuracy. And this wild machine is more accurate than I could have even imagined. This ice machine is probably one of the most accurate things in the world. What's the tolerance that this limits at?
When we get them calibrated, then they have to repeat on all dimensions within a half a tenth.
Half a tenth?
Half a tenth. I mean, to explain what a half a tenth is. Like,
I was about to say, what is that?
The average human hair is 3,000. So you take that, split it into 3 pieces. One of those pieces is 1,000.
When he says thou, he means thousandths of an inch. Yeah.
And then you take that third of a human hair and split that into 10 pieces. One of those 10 pieces is a tenth. We're talking about half of that.
Because when you think just a normal tenth, you're like, well, that's not that bad. But no, that's just the language here. Everyone knows you're working in thousands, so now you're at a tenth of a thousandth, and so on. So that's actually stupid accurate. Once the gear case housings and covers have been tested to the furthest extent, the QC techs will then match the corresponding housing and covers based off the pairs that have the closest measurements. Those two pieces will never be separated after this moment.
During the audit, we watch what the match numbers, it's what we call the distance from the impeller board to the input board and to the dowel pin. Those are numbers that are most critical to make these things match properly, so there's not too much stress pressed into the material, and so that the shafts align as precise as possible.
Oh, so it's not like normal marriage. You're not ordained, are you?
I am ordained.
Oh.
Superchargers only, though. These get ran on that machine. There's multiple pallets. Some pallets are for cases, some pallets are for covers. So even though they're not being ran at the exact same time, they are being ran in unison per job. So they make us a job for 40 of these and 40 of those with the intention of matching all 40.
Okay.
When you fine tune the match, you marry them together, give them the lot number, and you keep those together. And then from that point on, those two don't get separated again.
So these two will never separate from each other. Whenever a kit is built, they will stay together. And that way everything, quality control, machining, everything matches, everything's correct, and you won't have any problems in the future. If only real relationships were that accurate. Okay, so now all of our machining is complete. And these parts that started off raw are nice and finished and shiny, and they go back into the parts cage to wait for an order. Now that an order is here, they come to assembly, and there's one more step that needs to be done before it can go to a customer. And that is the bonding of our gear case. That marriage needs to be completed. This is the first step of the final assembly and by far the most crucial. The integrity of the gear case must be preserved through this final bonding step. The two pieces and their corresponding gears are installed in a clean room away from any unwanted particles or uncontrollable elements in order to accomplish as perfect a bond as possible. Why is precision assembly in a separate room away from everything else?
It needs to be a clean environment. Any contaminants from the machine shop or the warehouse, we don't want in here when we are assembling.
Once the gear case has been bonded and set, there are two last steps before the rest of the supercharger can be put together. First, the gear case must be tested for any sort of leakage. So our transmissions are assembled, they're full of fluid, they're out of the clean room. You said there's one more step before they can actually go into the kit, and what is that?
Yes, we pretty much do a pressure test where we check out, make sure there's no porosity in the casting. Sometimes some of this casting might have some impurities and it might leak out. So what we do is just pretty much just fill it up with air. And make sure that there's no leaks coming out.
So even this far in the process, there still can be a fault in the metal itself. So oil can seep through the casting and stuff. So there's no other way until now to test this because they're not sealed. They're just now being made together. Now you add the air, and then now you know if it's good or not. Cool, and now that part's done, and it can go into a kit for a customer to enjoy. Once the gear case pieces have proven their true love for each other, and more importantly, that they don't have any leaks, the impeller is installed and torqued down to spec before moving over to the installation table where it's married to the volute and corresponding hardware. You know, it's really wild to see the result of so many parts and people coming together to make this incredible piece of machinery. But as I've seen throughout the day, parts are only as good as the environment they're made in.
So I've been working with these guys for about 15 years. We kind of read each other's mind of what we need and as far as work. So this is kind of like family.
There's guys out there that have been doing this stuff for over 40 years. A lot of guys have been in this field since they were old enough to work. So it's a friendly atmosphere, you know? As long as people are here working hard and getting their work done, and that's what matters.
my God, that is some power. Oh my goodness, you do not have to wait for it at all, and that is the beauty of superchargers. You get all the power all at once with the rest of the engine. Oh, dude, thank you so much to everybody at Vortech Superchargers, Andrew, Larry, everybody else, the whole team, for letting us come and see what they're about, how they do everything they do. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because this is a lot of fun. We're gonna be making more videos just like this, so let us know down in the comments what you wanna see, because I'm loving this show. All right, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.
If you live in Los Angeles and love Miatas just as much as I do, then boy, do we have an event for you. March 29th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Petersen Automotive Museum, we are going to be having a Miata car meet. Bring your garage queen, bring your track car, bring your project. We want to see it. I'm going to start fixing up some of the hydraulic lines on our lowrider Miata so it can make it out to the event, and we're also going to bring out a few other donut cars that you might recognize. Did I mention my crazy kooky grandpa Bob Hall's going to be there? We're going to be handing out awards for our favorite Miatas. Oh, and if that's not enough for you, we're going to be having the world's first Miata sound-alike competition. It went a little ITB there, a little V80. Good cars, even better people. March 29th, Petersen Automotive Museum. I'll see you there.
Wow, you made it to the end of the video. I'm so proud of you. I think you should check this one out too. It's pretty good.